Give, give me 1 minute. Sir. Yeah,
Go
we
ahead.
are live and very good morning, Sam. This is Shyam Shankaran, and today we are going to continue on the idea of democracy. But today we are going to discuss the state of global democracy. Without much ado, I will let Sam give a quick context. Go ahead, Sam.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Privada. Really appreciate both of you taking the lead. Good morning and greetings from Chicago. Thank you for participating in this program. We have had many of these, and I have learned a great deal from young people about your views. And today, as part of the conversation we are having on democracy, we'll focus a little more on global democracy, the state of democracy globally. I will take about 5-10 minutes to sort of set the stage, and then we will have question answers and comments and broader conversation. Like many of you, I have traveled in many countries in the world, roughly 85 or so. And I have observed in my own little way the life and opportunities in these countries. I've admired US on one hand, and I've also admired India on the other hand, mainly for the freedom, justice, opportunities, and ability to do things that you, as a citizen, resident, would like to do. When I went to Soviet Union for the first time in mid 80s, I was surprised at the talent of the people. They were really bright, highly educated, but I was equally surprised at their initiatives. They were conditioned to think in a box. They couldn't really think wild like people in US thought. There were lines for products because the production was controlled. There was surveillance everywhere. Everyone was worried about what they will say, how they will say it, who would listen to them. And I saw a major difference between democracy and authoritarian regime in mid 80s on my own. I'll give you one simple example. I was at a Hotel Russia. This was mid 80s. And I called operator and I said, I need to talk to Dr. Kulshest. And she said, do you have his number? I said, no. She said, well, if you don't have his number, why do you want to talk to him? I said, no, no, no. That's why I'm calling you. If you can find me his number, you may have directory of the hotel. She said, no. If you don't have his number, I can't help you. So I went downstairs and I said, do you have a directory? The person said, no, we don't have directory. And that was a shock to me that they thought that if you want to call somebody, you should have the number. Dumb little example, but told me a lot about the state of authoritarian regime. Today in this world, only 8% of the population of the world of 8 billion live in full democracy, mainly in Scandinavian countries. 37% of the people live in flawed democracy. And you'll be surprised to learn that 55% of the people have no democracy at all. And democracy varies from country to country. You look at what went on in Gaza. I had mentioned earlier, I had been to Gaza, and you could see that democracy is not working there for a large group of people. Democracy is working for only a small group. So in many countries, democracies get hijacked. In the last 10 years, 15 years, world over, there has been a rise of authoritarian regime. People talk about Turkey, people talk about Hungary, people, even talk about US and India. And this is a great concern to many people like us. Unfortunately, when I talk to a lot of young people, I find that their conversation is more about finding the right narrative in India against religious conversation and not for conversation on democracy. Everyone is looking to attack the debate that is going on television, which is more about religion, temple, caste, um, minorities, and very little about real meaning of democracy and what does it mean to fight for democracy. South Africa found that out, that they got freedom, and it's not very easy to build democratic institutions. Many countries in Africa are not democratic, and democracy requires conversation with public. It is for the people, by the people, of the people. And whenever there is authoritarian mindset, they try to interfere in free thought, in open discussion, debate, in criticism, because they take criticism very personally. When leadership takes criticism personally, you got a problem. And I think that is what is going on in many parts of the world. So democracy globally is in danger. I firmly believe that the only way to empower people individually and collectively is to give them the freedom, have rule of laws. People follow these rule of laws, make systems more transparent, open, accountable, and have broader conversation with large number of people and learn to develop consensus on public policies. It's not easy, but that is what democracy is all about. To me, democracy is everything. I'm telling you based on my own experiences, my own journey, where I was and what I could accomplish, and what kind of experiences I had personally. Very fulfilling, were all result of democracy in India as well as democracy in the US. With this brief background, I would like to hear from you all as to what do you think? How do you feel about democracy? Why democracy is so important globally? And why democracy is being attacked globally? And social media is playing a very important but a very complicated role in this process. Social media is amplifying misinformation, lies. Now with AI, you can do all kinds of crazy things. You can put words in my mouth in multiple languages, which I have never spoken, and complicate information exchange. Each one of us will have to find our own truth if democracy is to survive. If we take what is on social media, what is seen in regular media as a raw information, will be misguided. And part of the problem today is that people are misguided. People are not going to fundamentals, but they are trapped in peripheral misinformation about all kinds of issues. Unless and until you go down to fundamentals like truth, trust, love, freedom, justice, you cannot really lift humanity to the next level. And that's why I'm concerned about democracy. Thank you again. And let's have questions and comments. Shan, is this?
Manav, yeah, yeah. Are you able to hear me, Sam?
I can hear you very well. Manav?
Yeah. Manav is from YouTube is asking, Sam Pitroda ji, will you think that BJP government is using PMLA against opposition parties and opposition leaders to break India Gadbandhan?
Well, we know what is going on in India. We know that politicians are purchased for a price. People understand it. It'll be hard for me to prove anything, but I'm sure there are people with a lot of good information. And today, it seems that the government in power, BJP, is trying to break all kinds of alliances, all kinds of groups, some indirectly, some very directly. I mean, I gave you earlier example of this professor, Natasha Kaul, who was invited by Karnataka government to give a presentation. And government did not allow her to enter India. I mean, what kind of a democracy is this? She's not a criminal. She's not a terrorist. She's a simple professor, lady professor of Indian origin, very well-known professor, has written a lot. And she has been invited by a state government, which may not be BJP government, doesn't matter, but Indian government. And you don't allow her to come in, and you don't even give her a reason for why you are not allowed. And the reason given to her is that we have orders from Delhi. I mean, if that is not authoritarian regime, what is it? And nobody cares. Nobody opposes that. Nobody, you don't see demonstration by people on this. You don't see women's organization reacting, saying, hey, wait a minute, you can't do that. Haven't heard a word on Women's Day about sending her back. Okay. Now, that's not anti-government. That is pro-democracy. So if there is a pro-democracy demonstration and you call it anti-government, or the government feels it is anti-government, that means government is accepting the fact that they are authoritarian. I mean, I cannot comprehend sending innocent person like her back right from the airport. And there is very little conversation in the country. I've not seen anything on the national media. Okay, nobody has interviewed her. What kind of a nation is this? And this is not just to one. I just read an article yesterday about series of OCI cards cancelled. Another professor from Odisha who has bought a house in Odisha and was going to settle in Odisha is denied a visa to come to India. Come on, give me a break. These are academicians. They have right to analyze things. They may not analyze the way you want, but that's okay. Have big heart. And then you turn around and say, we are a democracy. And that's what is going on today. Okay. And if you say anything against government, you are anti-national. Okay. It just doesn't make sense. It's not good for India. It is not good for Indian, not only democracy, Indian economy. It is not good for thinking people. It is not good for young. Okay. And apparently everybody accepts it. Everybody says this is not very important. What is important is a discussion on temple. What is important is a discussion on, you know, violence or whatever. Okay. And it really bothers me. Okay. Next.
So
Manda.
Madan from YouTube is asking, it's cyclic. The world goes up 3 steps and slips down 2 steps every 30 years, mainly because people step up to save the world and then cut loose the things started brewing. And things started brewing.
Yeah, true and false. Ultimately it boils down to what we value. You see, world is chasing rainbows at times. Okay, world is really looking for 8%, 7%, 6% growth, profit, power, control. In the process, world is missing on fundamental values. And unless and until you put your feet on the ground and focus on humanity, like I have already said, focus on what is good for people and what is good for planet. You get trapped in this rat race. You got to focus on what is good for people. I have said Manavta is more important than Hindutva. Manavta comes first. Am I really concerned about fellow human being? Am I really concerned about the well-being of the other person? Am I respecting the other person? Am I really sympathetic? Do I have empathy? These are all simple things, and people don't pay attention to simple things. People get wrapped up in their own power, in how would I look? What would somebody else say? That fellow is much more richer than I am. His house is bigger than I have. He has a better car than I have. And then in the process, you lose humanity. And that's what is going on. And hopefully, out of this churning, something good will come out. But a lot of it is unnecessary, according to me.
Awesome, Sam. I think we have 312 viewers today. I think it's kind of really pleasing to see more
Good.
viewers.
Khalid
Many
Moldi.
pros-
Khalid
yeah.
is a friend of
So,
mine.
okay. He's
Khalid and I
asking,
worked, yeah, Khalid and I worked in 80s. He is a medical doctor and a PhD in IT, lives in Florida, and we work together on technology missions on immunization. I have great respect for Khalid. And
awesome.
Khalid, first you don't have to say sir. The
I'll
masses,
read the question. I'll read the question for you, Sam.
I can
The
see it.
masses,
Yeah.
yeah, no, but I read it for the spaces.
Okay.
The masses see the rights. Should we not start with the responsibilities? Respect for opinions that differ has any role.
Of course, respect has to be for the opinion that differs. Khalid and I worked together and we know how we treated everybody in our team and how great our team was and how different the team members were. Okay. And that's how you get things done. You don't get things done with authoritarian mindset. You take credit for a lot of other people's work, but you don't get things done if you don't believe in people, if you don't believe in teamwork, collaboration, cooperation, co-creation. And I'm one of those who has been saying this for long, long time, that command and control cannot deliver in the long run. Okay. And that's what democracy is all about. Okay.
Sounds good. Suresh Vallat from YouTube is asking, Indian democracy has been hijacked by EVM. This is not the democracy envisaged by Nehru, Gandhi, and Ambedkar. Any comment?
See, election is one piece of the puzzle. And I agree, election is the beginning of the puzzle. And if EVM can be manipulated and votes can be manufactured, and through public media, you can convince people that you have a license to manufacture votes, then EVM is an instrument to hijack democracy, if all of it is true. Okay. I am convinced that 2024 election is going to be very important. And if I had an option, I would not use EVM, because with VVPAT, I have no confidence in the system. I would insist that we go with paper ballot, which is traditional, works. Then the second part of the question was, or comment was, that democracy that Gandhiji, Nehru, and Ambedkar had envisaged has been hijacked. Yes, I agree with that. I believe that is true today. Okay. And you may not like to hear that from me, and you might think I'm, being unreasonable. But I strongly believe that our constitution is not followed to the level I would like it to follow. And we are all responsible for it. I'm not pointing finger at one or the other. At the end of the day, it is the people of India that make things happen. They have to decide what kind of a nation they want to build. And I firmly believe that the 2024 election is not about BJP versus Congress, not about Modi versus who, or Rahul versus who, or for that matter, somebody else in India alliance versus who. It is basically about what kind of a nation you want to build. Do you want to build a nation where everyone can live in peace and harmony? Do you want to build a nation where everyone is respected, from Dalit to OBC to minority to women? That is the narrative. People keep saying, oh, there is no narrative, we need powerful narrative. I agree with all that. But narrative could be very simple. Okay, you don't need to complicate it. Do you want to be good or you want to be bad? Do you want love or you want hate? Do you want fear or you want security? Do you want people to live in peace or constantly go on creating conflict because somebody is different, because somebody doesn't do this, somebody doesn't do that? Do you want people to have that freedom to move wherever they want to move, to eat what they want to eat, to marry who they want to marry, to study what they want to study, to start a business they want to start, as long as you follow rule of law? To me, this is the 2024 election about. It is not about tutu meme. It is not about you said this, so I will say this, and I have better, response on social media. Okay, that's what is going on, and that bothers me. I get 10 requests a day saying, "Sir, you should say this, you should say that." Okay, Sam, you didn't say it properly. It's okay. Let us raise our conversation to a higher ground, higher moral ground. And that's what 2024 election is going to be about. Don't get sucked into false narrative. Don't get sucked into lies, misinformation. Just ask yourself, what kind of an environment in which I want to live and raise my children, raise my family, and where do I want to go? Khalid reminds us that we, the people, is missing, you know, and people will have to rise. People today are trapped. They are trapped in this false notion that has been created about religion, minorities, hate, violence. You know, I mean, I can't get over the fact that on Valentine's Day, there'll be people who would be beating boys
Yeah.
and girls who are romancing. I mean, what kind
Yeah.
of a nation is that? Okay, young people should do what they feel like doing. That's okay. They can make some mistakes. That's fine. We did that too. We were young at one time too. Recently, Jairam Ramesh tweeted a picture of two of us 37 years ago. And I was pretty impressed. I said, oh my God, I didn't realize that I used to be young too,
Hmm.
you know. And we made our mistakes. And every generation does that. But that's the beauty of freedom. Don't expect all young to be like you. Love them. The best way to raise children. And my parents who had fourth grade education really knew how to do it. And that was to love them, trust them, and let them do what they want to do. I told you, my father didn't know what I studied. Okay. And that was the beauty of it. He didn't interfere, but he loved. We knew that in difficulty, he'll be there for us. Okay. Today, not only parents, but people on the street wants you to behave the way they want. It's a funny thing. Okay. They will tell you with a danda how you should behave. What kind of a nation is that? Okay. So, democracy to me is the core of the challenge in 2024.
Thank you,
Social
Sam.
harmony is a prerequisite
Yeah,
for democracy.
yeah.
Is it not?
Suresh Valla from YouTube is asking about the social harmony is a prerequisite for democracy. Is it not?
No. I would say it is the other way around. Democracy is a prerequisite of social harmony. If there is democracy, there will be social harmony. If there is no democracy, there will not be social harmony. So it's the other way around. Okay. If you have democracy, if you give people freedom, there'll be social harmony. But if you discriminate one group of people, I mean, what kind of a nation is this where you can say that this group of people cannot drink water from this particular well because you are Dalit or Harijan or whatever, okay? Or you can't go to temple. I know of several religious leaders, and I've known them personally, and I had interactions with them. They don't look at women at all. They don't allow women. I mean, what kind of a system is that in 2024? Okay, you're saying 50% of the humanity is untouchable. That's what you're saying, basically, in a nice way. Okay, and people accept that, and people are okay with it. Okay, and they're deeply engaged in this kind of a behavior, in this kind of a system, spend millions and millions, build temples, pray together, but say women are not allowed. We can't see them. It's a funny thing. Okay, without women, you won't be born. Okay, what kind of a man is that? But they may think I'm crazy, and they are right. That's the problem. Okay, and they'll justify everything. Okay, so Fundamental values imply that do I believe in equality of women? Period. Okay. Then there is no conversation about whether you can enter temple, whether this or not. They are like everybody else. They are very important part of the society, 50% of the population. How can we ignore them? But we do.
Sounds
Vidushi,
good, Sam. Yeah, I'll ask the question, Sam, for the space sake.
sure.
Vidushi Shukla from YouTube is asking, social media has played as a double-edged sword. The convenience that it provided is now backfiring in the form of spread of misinformation. Even the educated people are becoming prey to it. What are your thoughts?
Agree with the comment. Social media is a double-edged sword. It is like any other technology or tool. It is being misused in a big way right now. And I think a lot of these big companies are to be blamed. I openly say that. Okay. Not only that, but they also manipulate to optimize their profit. See, if they were open and transparent, it'll be okay. But their algorithms are designed to manipulate, to favor people who pay more money to them, directly or indirectly. They take guidelines from the local governments if the governments are authoritarian. Okay. They encourage trolls. They don't, I mean, they encourage unauthenticated behavior. That's my fundamental issue for many, many years. Ever since social media became popular, I've been saying that the biggest problem is unauthenticated behavior. I want on social media people to be identified and say, I am Sam Pitroda. There is only one Sam Pitroda. This is my picture. And whatever I say, I take responsibility for it. And not some fake name I come up with and start abusing Sam. And then I can't even find who that person is. Why do they encourage that? But they do, because they get more clicks. So they get better ad revenues. This is a fundamental problem in social media. Once you have authenticated behavior, over a period of time, people will learn to respect truth. In unauthenticated behavior, you learn to spread misinformation. It's exactly opposite. Yeah.
I'll let Priyamata ask any questions from Twitter space. India with
Uh,
Congress.
yes. So there is a question, rather a comment, is saying, why is Congress Party not launching a pro-democracy movement right away? Why are we waiting for, the elections to be held in EVMs, and then why don't you have a CCTV coverage in 100% booths for a fair election? And why is it taking time for Congress to make these changes?
See, every time a political party takes on the EVM issue, the media and the government keeps attacking. And I strongly believe that it is time for public to raise the issue. Then political parties can join. This is not about political parties. It is about my vote. It is about citizens' right. EVM issue is a citizen issue. It is not a party issue. Every citizen's vote matters. All I am saying is, are you counting the vote I'm casting? I don't know that. You haven't convinced me of that with VVPAT. And this is a citizen's issue. If enough citizens go on the street, like this lawyer group, Pracha and Pratap and others are doing, then I think political parties will join. They have to join. They will join. Okay. But
I
if
think
citizens are not concerned, what can political parties do? They will be told that, oh, look, you are saying it because you lost. Okay.
I think this comment coming from somebody who was part of the earlier governments who helped the EVM to come in shape. along with Kapil Sibal, and you many visionaries have helped this whole thing come into play. And you are saying this now there is a trust deficit. I don't know why Election Commission and even the so-called other independent
I've been
institutions
saying
are
it for
not being
quite
added.
some time. It's very simple. Okay. As soon as you put VVPAT, the EVM machine ceased to be an independent unit. Okay. And the logistics got very complicated. And there is a chance of manipulation. Okay. And I have no trust. Now, let's not get into debate on who does it and why, how it does. Show it to me. That's not my job. Okay. That's Election Commission's job. Okay. So don't draw me into unnecessary discussion. Okay. 2024 election is so very critical that I urge Supreme Court to think about this issue very carefully, because India's destiny is going to be decided in 2024. And once again, I'm not against anybody. When I say these things, I'm not saying this against anybody. I'm saying it for Indian democracy. I'm saying it for Indian constitution. I'm saying it for people of India and their future. I'm saying it because I believe only through this India can create jobs. Only through this India can have peace, harmony. And if you don't believe in these things, you're talking to a wrong person. So ultimately, 2024 election is going to boil down to what do you believe in? Okay. When you go there to vote, you are not voting for a party. You are voting for the future of India. And you decide whatever your conscience says. It is okay because it's your vote. Okay. But think very carefully, because every vote will matter. And that's why EVM becomes important. If I'm not convinced that the vote I'm casting is the vote that is going to be counted, I can't rely on the process. Okay. And it's going to be a big challenge today.
Thank you,
Uttam,
Sam.
Meena.
Yeah, I can ask the question, Sam. But I just want to note that we have crossed 495 viewers the first time since
Thank
we
you.
have been doing this 15 episodes. I think the topic is also very important, which is gathering a lot of this interest. So I think you
Because
are
it
doing a
affects
great.
everybody. You see, I sympathize with a lot of people who have good intentions, but they are confused. Okay. They are confused with all this false information bombarded, and they have no time to really sort it out. Okay. And believe me, people in India are intelligent. They are good. You may have example of few bad apples here and there, but overall, the kind of love and affection you get on the streets of India, no other country will give you. The kind of friends you can make in India, no other country will give you that opportunity. The family, friends, environment, the street wala, the lari wala, the pakoda wala, all these people are just fantastic human beings. My daughter lived for a while in Mumbai, and she didn't want me to go and visit her where she was living, because she said, Dad, if you came there, you will throw me out and put me on a plane and bring back to Chicago. So I said, no, but I want to come and visit you. So she won't let me go there. But she said, I'll take you to the neighborhood I live so you feel comfortable that I'm safe. So we went there. And she first introduced me to the jalebi wala, okay, in the neighborhood. And that guy was such a wonderful human being. Okay. And she said, look, this is the people I live with. And I said, okay, I don't need to see your apartment. Okay, that is India. Okay. She was safe. She was loved by everybody in neighborhood. They were all good. Benji kaise ho, whatever it is. And she lived by herself for a year or so. Okay. You can't say that for many parts of the world. This is the beauty of India. Okay. And when that is challenged by discrimination, by religious overtone, by hate, it bothers me. So let's go to Uttam's question.
Yeah, Uttam is mentioning about one incident happened in Baran, Rajasthan, maybe a class school teacher who was bullied by villagers and suspended for not putting Ma Saraswati photo on dais along with Baba Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhi. I think his question is primarily around how do you think we can save democracy in India when people and regime together have mindset to put religion ahead of constitution on the day we opted to be ruled by rule of
People
law.
have to be people have to be educated. People have to be told that this gundagiri won't last. Okay, you cannot do that. This is against the law. Those people should be punished. Okay, and not teacher. Okay, in India, the teacher would be punished the way it is today. Okay, those people should be punished because they are breaking the law. Okay, they are taking the teacher's freedom away.
Sure thing. Manu Chandana from Twitter is asking about an election to save democracy and the constitution.
Agree? I agree with Manu that this is an election to save democracy and our constitution. That's what this election is all about, Manu. Thank you.
James Abraham from YouTube is asking, what are your thoughts on appeasement politics in India?
I mean, how could you agree with that kind of a stuff, in the long run? But you have to also be clear on what do you mean by appeasement. If you give poor help, there is a fine line. Okay. You are really meeting their needs. If you are giving tax break to rich, it will be a different kind of appeasement. Okay. So I would say poor people everywhere need help. In America, Europe, India. If we can assure people minimum income, assure food, and all that, and still keep economy running and encouraging them to work and not giving them comfort so that they sit at home and don't work. That's not the idea. But the idea is to really meet the needs of the poorest of the poor. And I believe in that. That's what humanity is all about. In the process, some will misuse it. Too bad. Women's right. I'm big on women's right. I had 5 sisters. Okay. I grew up with 5 sisters. And I know what it means. I can tell you because my parents were not highly educated. When one of my sisters was ready to go to high school, discussion was, why should she go to high school? She's going to get married. And 2 brothers, my older brother and I, fought with the parents, essentially saying, no, we are going to take this sister away to Baroda and not going to have her stay with you. And my parents agreed, and we took our sister to Baroda. And ultimately, she got a degree in mathematics, came to America, went to University of Illinois, got a master's in math. And all my 4 younger sisters are educated, well settled in US and studied. Okay. And because we believed that if we have a right to go to college, our sisters also have a right to go to college. Okay. And that was our job. So this is, everyone has to think like that in the family.
I think women rights play a very important role in democracy. Thanks, Sam. I think for noting down that on
They are
International
equal.
Women's Day.
They are equal. Why do we even distinguish them? They are equal. Because they are partners in everything. Okay.
I think International Women's Day also has passed recently. It's congratulations to all the women out there. Priyamata.
Thank you.
So, servants of Andhra
Let me tell you,
Pradesh
they are
in
smarter.
Twitter.
Let me tell you, Sean, I hope you don't mind. They are smarter
Yeah,
in many ways than our boys.
yeah, of course.
They are loyal. They are very loyal. Okay. They are hardworking. They are loyal. They are smarter. Okay. And I have had great luck with my colleagues. I had so many interesting people who worked with me. I can name some. There was executive assistant of mine. She was just top. Renu Baveja, then Sujata Sharma. Then recently I had Mitakshara, Sukhman. They're all great people, wonderful human being, very talented, and we need to celebrate their successes.
Sure thing.
Thank you,
I
sir.
think
Sir, there is one.
Priyamata, let me complete this question. Yeah. Why Congress is soft even during elections on exposing the corruption in Modi government? I think his follow-up is especially electoral bonds and hiding behind SBI. So I think servants of Andhra Pradesh in Twitter is feeling that we should expose them more.
Yeah, the point is when you don't have access to media the way government has and the control, it is very difficult to get your word out in the main media. Now, SBI thing has nothing to do with Congress. It has to do with people of India. It should get the right coverage on the media, but you will hardly see any conversation. Why isn't there a debate everywhere on SBI not following the guidelines? What does it take to get the data out? Okay, I know there are 10 software experts in India. You give them the file and they will get the data out for you. It may not be 100% accurate. That's okay. It may be 95% accurate. That's perfectly all right. Say that. Okay. But to say that we can't do it for 3 months is not acceptable in a computerized system. I don't believe it. I don't buy it. Okay. I think there is something to hide. And I'm sure there is a pressure from the government to State Bank of India saying, don't publish it. Okay. Shame on State Bank of India that they have asked for an extension. They should have followed guidelines of the Supreme Court and delivered what they were asked to deliver. Okay.
Even the union of bank employees have told that this doesn't take even more than few hours because everything is for the
Absolutely.
compliance.
Absolutely. The people who worked on it also say that.
Yeah.
But this is what authoritarian regime means. Okay. This is what we are concerned about. Okay. And then you can't blame Congress. Oh, Congress is not taking it up. No, it's nothing to do with Congress. It has to do with people. Okay. Every issue can't be a Congress issue. Okay. But in India, everything is politicized. And it is only seen in terms of party politics and not in terms of people engagement.
I'll let Priyamada go next. Go ahead, Priyamada.
Yes, sir. So there is an interesting comment from Abhishek Shinde regarding women empowerment. So basically, he's saying that we must be sensitive towards the challenges faced by women, but male empowerment is the need of the hour. You can't expect women empowerment by ignoring the welfare of males, especially from the struggling section of the society. So, your thoughts?
No, I don't see the world in terms of male and female. Okay, I see world in terms of individuals and families. Okay, let's not divide people by male and female in that sense because they are all part of the family. In some cases, women is the head of the family because there is no male. Okay, in other cases, there is no woman and the only man is the head of the family. In most cases, men and women are also part of the family. So, idea is not to really separate, but look at this more as a community challenge, more as a family challenge. Okay, they are both equal. They don't need to favor one or the other. Okay, but traditionally women have been not given the opportunity. That's why more emphasis on women, because traditionally male has been driving everything. Okay, and it is like tribals or OBC or Dalits or minorities. Why do we talk about them? Because traditionally they have been ignored. So you got to lift them. So you got to give them helping hand. And that's your job as part of the community. Okay.
So, Tragic Kingdom from YouTube is asking biggest concern in India is safety for women. Hence, families are so scared to send them out for studies. And he's also talking about the Spaniard biker and her biker friend biking around in India and Jharkhand. There was a recent incident of a rape in front of her husband itself, and it's a very unfortunate thing. So, your thoughts, Sam, on this safety aspect for women?
Thank you. I think it is a problem. India is too big, too diverse, and one incident like that really puts a black mark on 1.5 billion people. Okay, uh, one incident like that is too much and too many. But overall, safety of women has become an issue, whether it's in Goa or it's in some other places, especially foreign visitors, is of great concern. And that's part of the challenge we are talking about. You know,
Vairam from Twitter is asking why Congress is not insisting 100% VVPAT papers counting.
Congress is insisting, and people have talked about it. Okay, but who is listening? Yeah. I mean, look at the report published by the Independent Commission, um, Citizens
Citizens
Commission.
Commission.
It outlines everything, and they have been screaming from the rooftop. But Election Commission is not listening. Supreme Court is not listening. So where do you go? Yeah.
I think Suman Khedde is asking about another very important thing or interesting thing, which is still, I think a lot of developments are happening. Voting through mobile and online voting. And also, I think he's also asking about transparency.
Suman, if you are a technical person, you can go do a patent search. I just got a patent in the US on voting through mobile phone. On January 10th, patent was issued to Sam Pitroda and two of my colleagues together. We have been working on it for the last 3-4 years. It is more about security. So I believe it is going to happen. The question is when. It is much more secured. It is decentralized, so you don't need voting booths and checking and volunteers and police and all that stuff. And you will get your ballot on this, and you will be able to vote. It's going to happen. Question is when. Technology is there. Okay, is there a political will to do it? Yeah.
So, Priyamida, you have any questions from Twitter space?
Yeah, so there's a question. Pratham, can you unmute and ask your question?
So, am I audible now?
Yeah, you are. So can you hear him?
Yes.
I can hear him. Hello?
Yeah. So
Yes, we can hear Pratham. Go ahead, Pratham.
India. So my question is, currently in India, democracy is dying. So what steps we need to take to restore it back?
One is to bring back people who believe in democracy to power, which is election. Okay, it's a starting point. Once people who believe in democracy come back to power, the cleanup has to start. Because democracy, to me, say that institutions should be autonomous independence. Whether it is Supreme Court or it is police, ED, all these institutions have to be autonomous. Civil society has to be encouraged. Rule of law has to be in place. Media has to be free. And all those people who have been planted by design to control, let's say, universities, have to be replaced. All universities should be independent. Why should they take guidance? And in fact, in India, it's a very strange thing that governor is the chancellor of all universities in the state. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I'm a chancellor of a university in Bangalore. I was chancellor of a Rajasthan university for many years, 5 years or so. And I find that government somehow assumes that governor is capable of being a chancellor of 20 universities at the same time. It's ridiculous. But that's control. That's anti-democratic. And people accept it. So you got to make changes at every step. And it's a long process. It's not an easy task.
Sounds good, sir. So I think there is one question from James Abraham about electronic voting machines. Why not you put a structure chart, flow chart, like how it would works and the technology behind it to manipulate it so that the people will understand
It's
in
all
daily
there.
use?
It's all there. Just read it, report. It's all there. Just read the report of the. You see, the problem in people in India think that right information doesn't exist. It exists many places. Just read the report of the Citizens Commission. Go Google
On
and you'll find
elections,
all flowcharts and everything. It's all there. But
Citizens
you got to
Commission on
search.
elections.
Yeah, it's all there on elections. On EVM design, everything is there. Okay, but you got to dig.
Sounds good, sir. So I think today we have a great audience. Madhuruga from YouTube wanted to congratulate you for getting patents. Incredible. You never stop.
Say it again. I didn't hear it. Just go back.
She was saying about your patents, the recent patent, whatever you got. That's incredible, and you never stop. Congratulations.
Well, that keeps me going. But look at the patent. It's an interesting patent. Okay, just read it. You can Google it and find it.
Sure. I want to ask a question about electoral autocracy, the downgrading of Indian democracy. I think one of the institute in Sweden, has been publishing regular reports. I think a couple of years back, they kind of have slided India rapidly towards electoral autocracy.
Yes.
And they mentioned the diminishing of freedom of expression, the media and civil society have gone the furthest during Mr. Modi's rule. That far as censorship goes, India was as autocratic as Pakistan and worse than its neighbors, Bangladesh and Nepal. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's their analysis. They may have done their homework. I respect that. And comparison may be fair, may not be fair. Okay. But the fact is, people like Natasha Call was mistreated is an example. And there are many examples like this, okay, which tell me that there is fear, there is injustice. If you don't take government line, you'll be harassed. It could be income tax officer, it could be court case, it could be defamation case for some crazy thing you have said somewhere which you don't mean in much, or you'll be harassed in some other form. That is not acceptable. Okay. I feel I'm citizen of a democratic country. I have a right to speak. I have a right to criticize. I have nothing against anybody. So don't take that right away from me. Don't tell me what to say, when to say, how to say. Okay, that's not your job. Okay, your job is to govern. My job is to criticize if I want to, or appreciate what you do. That's also part of my job. Respect what you do. That's also part of my job. Okay. So democracy means respecting other human beings, respecting different ideas, and having a conversation. Recently.
So, are you able to hear me, sir?
Hold on. Yes, okay. I'm writing a next book on unfinished agenda of Rajiv Gandhi. And I started reading again 5 books. There are 5 big volumes of Rajiv Gandhi's speeches. Okay. And I started reading those again. And I must tell you, I was shocked at what we used to discuss in those days. Okay. And Rajiv Gandhi had so many public interviews. These are the 5 books. Okay. There are 5 volumes of Rajiv Gandhi's speeches. And if you look at the press conference, you realize what democracy is all about. People are criticizing him, people are, questioning him, and he's asking, he's answering as much as he can. He makes mistakes, which is okay. Now, for a democratic country where Prime Minister has not given a press conference for 10 years, it's just not acceptable. Period. Yeah. What kind of democracy is that? Okay. And nobody is concerned. Everybody thinks it's okay. Okay. Prime Minister thinks it's okay. People think it is okay. And these are the books. You should look at it. Okay. There are 5 volumes published. It has to be interactive. It has to be a process of dialogue with people. We have no dialogue with people. Okay. So, going back to, democracy in danger, it's a perception. It's also a reality.
Sumant Hegde from YouTube is asking,
Yeah.
Rahul Gandhi has introduced primaries in electing candidate and Youth Congress is conducting election to elect president. Your views on primaries and internal democracy?
Well, Rahul Gandhi has been trying to do this for a long time, and I support that. Personally, I think today the candidate selection is much more systematic than it used to be in the past. There is a professional group doing surveys in every constituency saying who is electable. And based on those surveys, there are charts and graphs and, all kinds of analytics are prepared. Let's take a district or constituency A. In constituency A, what is the population breakdown? Age, gender, caste, religion, business, professionals, farmers, whatever. Then you have 4 or 5 visible people that Congress party has, and you go ask 10,000 people, who would you vote for? And that data is analyzed as opposed to how it was done in the past. In the past, everybody says, oh, this guy is my brother-in-law, give him a ticket. So Rahul Gandhi has put some process in place for selecting candidates. It is not 100% yet, but over a period of time, it will be refined. So I'm glad that internal dynamics have been put in place so that there is very little interference from the top. And it's a good thing.
Rajesh Kempagowda from Twitter is asking, what are your views on our neighboring countries? Are we still not looking at moderate trade balance and cooperation?
See, all our neighboring countries are also becoming more and more authoritarian. Look at what happened in Pakistan. Okay. Imran Khan is in jail. Look at what is happening in Bangladesh. Opposition has been put in jail. And now, even an honest, sincere guy like Yunus, who is a friend, close friend for many years, I respect him a lot, like many others respect him, is being harassed and he will probably go to jail. Then Sri Lanka. then Myanmar. All of these are authoritarian regimes. And India is becoming one based on what we have seen in the last few years, based on what's happening with media, based on what's happening with, harassing people at the immigration and all kinds of issues. Okay. Some right, some wrong. So neighboring countries are in the same boat. We may be much better off than others. So I won't draw a comparison here. But the overall trend is to have authoritarian regime. And that is not good for South Asia. Okay. We all need to really create a free market, because the only way to create peace is to have exchange of products, services, people, culture, ideas. Like if EU can have free travel between these countries, why can't South Asia have? Of course, there'll be problems in the beginning. Of course, there'll be conflicts in the beginning. But that's a process you have to go through. If you don't start that process today, it'll never happen. Okay. So you've got to come together and say, look, South Asia could be a free trade zone. People will be able to move, but then there's a concern for the terrorist. Okay. Maybe they will change. Maybe they will support over a period of time. Maybe they'll create problems in the beginning. Then they'll realize it is good for them also. So somebody has to take that leadership position. And we haven't had a leader like that who can bring everybody together and say, look, we all need to work together, because in Pakistan, you don't know who you are talking to. You're talking to military, you're talking to elected government, you're talking to Imran Khan. You don't know. Okay. And the SARC has basically fallen apart. SARC was supposed to be that. Never happened.
It's amazing to see even a free trade zone between countries can really bring terrorists to bring back to their main realm of citizenship. I think it's an awesome thing. So I think going back to
Somebody has to take the risk. Of course, it is risk. Of course, there'll be problem. But you got to have faith in humanity, that trade will bring people together. Trade of not just products and services, but also people, culture. People will be able to come visit their families because they are all over. Okay. I mean, what a great thing to have a free market of South Asia. Okay. It'll be almost 2 billion people. Okay. And then world will look at South Asia very differently. Okay.
sounds good. Vairam is asking.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, Vairam is asking about why not put a BU in between CU VVPAT connected parallel. I think it's more of a technical question. He's
No time.
trying to solve.
No time to do any of these things. Okay, because we have election in next few weeks.
So I think I just want to end the session with a observation made by External Affairs Minister Mr. Jaishankar.
Okay.
He's trying to say that we are you have set of self-appointed custodians of the world who find it very difficult to stomach that somebody in India is not looking for their approval, is not willing to play the game they want to be played. And also they say he's saying that this about this democracy ratings by many of these institutions, independent institutions. He's saying they invent their rules, their parameters, they pass their judgments, and then they make out as though this is some kind of global exercise. What are your thoughts on?
Possible. You don't have to agree with all the parameters.
Sam, your audio is not.
No, I'm okay.
No, he's clear. He's clear. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
You can go. Sir.
Yeah.
No, I was saying maybe he's right on some issues. I do agree that international institutions at times could be biased. Okay. But there is some truth, not all the truth. Okay. Forget about international institutions. Talk to your own people. See how they feel. Talk to people like Natasha calls of the world. See how they feel. You don't have to worry about scale or points and 39.7 or 17.5. It's not an issue. Look at how people feel. Do people in India feel that ED won't bother them? Do people of India feel that somebody will not come and say, oh, you are money laundering, or no, I can't allow you to enter this, or you have written something which is not acceptable, it is against the government, okay? Or you will close voluntary agency, or you will file a court case saying defamation case because you said something. It is the harassment in democracy that bothers people. I know Rahul Gandhi has 24 court cases against him. 24. Okay. For what? But you tie them up. You go to this court, you go to that court, you go to this lawyer, that lawyer. Okay. Some of it is harassment. And it's not good for India. It's not good for people of India. It's not good for the government. Okay. So going back to the point, maybe he has a point about international agency. Okay. I'm okay. But ask your own people. Open your eyes to the reality. And be a little more generous in giving opinion to other people. Okay.
Sounds good, Sam.
I talked to Dr. Prabhakar. He's the husband of finance minister. Okay. And he has very strong views on many of these things, and I respect him. Okay. There are people like that who express public opinion, their views. That doesn't mean they are against democracy. That doesn't mean they are against government. That doesn't mean they have a hidden agenda. That doesn't mean they are foreign agent. Okay, so just don't start labeling people like that. Okay.
I think that's about it, Sam. I think it was a great session.
Thanks. I hope it was useful.
Yeah, sir,
It was
before
very
you
useful.
conclude, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
There
Yes,
is one
Priyavada.
question from Saurabh. He's waiting since long.
Sure,
So
Saurabh, go ahead.
Saurabh, can you unmute and ask your question?
Yeah, hi, thanks. No, I think my questions are answered. I was just asking about a lot of fear in society, how to overcome that, and
the only way to work on this, Saurabh, is to be fearless. Okay, you got to have courage. Gandhiji used to say that you have to have courage. And you got to fight fear. Stand up and say things. Okay, because it is still a democracy. And you don't have to be right about everything. It's okay. And you correct yourself and you apologize if you said something that is not proper. It's perfectly all right. Say, sir, your views about the...
Yeah, Sumat is asking about delimitation of constituency on the basis of 2011 census. Now it is on the basis of 1971 census. South will get less seats. Your view?
Yeah, it is true. It is true. That's a fact of life.
Sounds good, son. I think we are almost done with all the questions. Maybe next week, can we discuss about democracy in United States or in India? Which
Whatever
one?
everybody wants. I'm here to answer young people's questions as much as I can. And I'm not an expert on a lot of these things. So don't get me wrong. Okay. I'm not a guru. I'm not an expert. I'm just an observer. And if you think there is a mistake I made, tell me. I'll correct. I'll apologize. I have no problem. But I want to have a dialogue with young people. Because to me, you are so important. Each one of you really represent India's future. Maybe 20 years from now, some of you will say, oh my God, we had conversation with Sam 20 years ago. And you will be probably sitting in the parliament. Or you may be minister. Or you may be a prime minister. Who knows? You know? And that's the kind of future I see in you all. Okay.
Sure thing, Sam. So, or what do you think about the topic like technology and democracy, which is also your forte?
Whatever you all want, you decide, you tell me, and I'll be
Sure,
ready. Okay.
sure. Sounds good. Sounds good, Sam. Thanks a
Again,
lot. It was a great
both
session.
of you. Thank to you.
We crossed the 700 viewers officially first time. I think this stop. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Thanks.